Hi guys, welcome to Before 30. My name is George. Of course, you know what this platform is about. It's a platform where we feature the young, the vibrant, and the amazingly talented persons who are below the age 30, who are doing well in their chosen fields, career, and profession. On today's episode, I have with me someone who is amazing. I say he's amazing because I've had to listen to him several times, and there's no time that I listen to him that there is nothing to take home. His name is Victor Oba. I like to call him a man of God because he really is a man of God, and he does a lot of things. He's a realtor, he's a writer, he's a public speaker, he's a motivational speaker, and of course he runs an advertising agency, The Sixth Idea. He co-founded that with someone, and they're doing so well with people's businesses on social media. I mean, this guy is loaded. Stay tuned because Before 30, we'll be right back.
This is Before 30.
Hi guys, it's Before 30 with George, and today I have with me, I already told you about him, he's Victor Oba. We've had him here before on the show. Of course, during our Independence Day episode, he was here and we talked about Nigeria and the youth. But today we're going to be talking to Victor Oba and all that he does. I already told you he does a lot of things actually. A lot of things, and I'm greatly inspired by him. He may not know this, but his podcast is something I always listen to, and there's always something refreshing to get out of his contents. And today we have him on Before 30 again. We're pleased to have you.
I feel the same with you. Thank you very much for having me.
Welcome to the show. How have you been?
I've been fine. Okay. Thank God.
Awesome. Okay, so yes, you do a lot of things. You're a motivational speaker, you're a realtor, you are... What don't you do?
Well, I don't do bad things.
Okay.
I don't do bad things, but then in terms of value, I'm a content creator, a digital influencer, I'm a man of God.
Of course.
I'm a realtor also, and so I am also the co-founder of The Sixth Idea.
Yeah.
The Sixth Idea is a small business. It's a small business consulting firm that deals with sales, structure, and helping small businesses manage their social media accounts. And I'm a writer also. A public speaker and an actor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think you're a poet too. You do spoken
I do spoken words.
Yeah.
I do spoken words because my spoken word is a little bit different from every other person. So I don't really classify myself as a poet, but then I'm a spoken word artist. Yes.
Amazing. So at what point in your life did you discover all these things, that you have all these things? Were they things that you thought of growing up? Okay, I want to be this, I'm sure you had something you always wanted to be when you were quite young.
Okay, so when I was young, apart from the fact I wanted to be a president, I wanted to be a doctor.
Okay.
Until one day when I went to hospital. So I don't fall sick.
Oh.
I don't fall sick. I think my sister fell sick at the time, so I was asked to go give her food in the hospital. And I got to the hospital and I saw blood. I saw real blood. I've been seeing blood in cartoons. And I saw real blood, and the way it was smelling. And the fact that it was on, so they were cleaning the blood. And at that moment, and I saw a doctor walk into, and I'm, no. Let's close this career first.
Okay.
And growing up, I was a really shy person growing up because, I was really shy at the time growing up because we didn't have conversations in my house at the time. So there was an expectation, you are the first child and you're going to be great. There was this work, face your studies and all, right? I think my mom, I picked this being an extrovert sort of thing from my mom, right? But I think the turning point for me finding all of these things I do and aligning them together, of course, the process, time has, sort of helped me fund my life's work. But the turning point really for me was at the time when we were in church one day, and they were having issues with who was going to play the role of the devil.
Okay.
And I just happened to walk into the church at the time. And the thing about me is I was consuming a lot of TV content, films, cartoons and all that. So I could sort of one of my gifts at the time was I could replicate a director's story in my mind. Right? I could watch a movie and tell the next scene or the next scene I think would be make sense.
Yeah.
Do you get? So, and everybody was like, oh, Victor, can you try to do this? And I'm like, let me try, give me the lines. And I nailed it.
Wow.
They were afraid that I was doing them. And then some people were saying, no, maybe it's because it's rehearsal. They're just like 4 or 5 people in church. Maybe that's why I nailed it. On Sunday, I came to church, I nailed it again. I was really shocked at myself. I was like, career start. Right? So we started off with acting. And acting was that place where I found the ability to fully express myself. I pursued acting for a long time at the time, through secondary school, outside of secondary school. And then that was where every other thing began to make sense. I think every other thing began to make sense when I entered the university, and I realized that I did not have my band with me again at the time. So that was where spoken word also came to play. That was where I began to tell stories just by myself on stage. So I could take the audience through the starting of a story, give you a middle line, and give you the ending of it. So I didn't need to have a band. So that was where every other thing began to come together.
Wow, amazing. Amazing. So let's talk about some of your business, the Sixth Idea. You guys have brands, social media platforms and all the branding thing. Tell us more about it.
Okay, so I started taking social media serious, I think, in 2018.
Okay.
And all through 2018, it has been intentionally me building my brand. But then I took it more seriously about a year ago after the pandemic. I think a lot of things happened after the pandemic. Some of us found purpose during the pandemic. Right? So after that time, and then I needed to become very intentional about what I wanted to call my work. Creativity is something that you would start off rough. It might not even look like it. So at the start of what you're doing, if you can decide that what you are doing in terms of creativity is your only stream of income, but it will take a lot, right? So one of the things I told myself was, I needed other spaces where money would come from, but I wanted to be in my space. I didn't want to do stuff that would cause me to finally go jet off from what I really wanted to call my life. Right? So starting Sixth Idea for us as a small company, as a small business, was something that was really amazing. We were in our space and we were doing what we really wanted to do. It was easier for us to be online, on social media, be a voice on social media, and also make money while at it. And not like we're making a lot of money, but then the idea is we're being valuable, right? We're solving problems and we're making money from it, right? And of course, I also sell real estate, right? So the idea is money is good. Money is like, you literally need money.
You need it.
You get? So I mean, there are some days when you'll be stranded. There are some days when you might not really have all the money you need at the time, but then you know that there's something that you're doing that can actually bring you money.
True.
And building a personal brand, again, I think the beauty of personal brand is when you're building a brand that is laced with integrity, it will be easier for people to do business with you. So that's been one of my core strengths. I think building a brand that people can see and say they want to be a part of and recognize themselves with it. Intentionally building your name and building your brand over time. So making money will be something that at the start of it might be a problem, but over time, it gets better. It just gets better. People can just trust you with so and so forth.
Awesome. So let's talk about your podcast. Sometimes I listen to them and I'm like, how did this guy, where do you get your inspiration? Like, how do you do it? How do you get, inspiration? What prompts the things that you say, the topics that you tackle? How do you do these things?
Okay, so there's this thing that I've been able to do over time. For example, you can choose to tell somebody you are mad, or you can ask questions around the probability of that madness. So don't you think that you are being abnormal? Like you might not really necessarily say abnormal, but you can ask them, so I'm a sucker for conversations. I love conversations. I have come to realize that conversations propel clarity.
True.
You can be in a mix right now, and then you just choose to have a conversation with someone, and the person might not even be aware that you've gotten what you're looking for from that conversation. I was in a conversation with somebody yesterday, and I just didn't see his traces online. And this guy is doing big stuff in real estate. Like, he's actually the real estate guy that I sell for. and he's doing big stuff, and so he needs to be online. I didn't see him online. I was bothered. I put the call through to him, and then we're having conversation, and he was like, "Man, you understand what I'm currently going through." That was what he said. Like, you understand what I'm currently going through. So I love conversations. So I'll say that conversations have happened to be one of my inspirations, and also knowing communication. Just like I said, you can choose to tell somebody you're mad, or you can choose to ask questions around that madness, and you still get the answer, because people don't want to be attacked. Right. So communication is key, and one of my strengths have been communication, accepting that there's a way you communicate with people, and also I've come to realize that, just like you said, inspiration for me stands out more than being motivated. I tell people that don't stay motivated, stay called. When you accept that something is your life's work, there's a level of intentionality that you put into it. And you become diverse. It's one of the things that consistency does. Consistency helps you to understand diversification over time. So when you spread, you get into the deep understanding of that thing, and then you can easily create results at any time and every time, right? So one of my inspirations have been conversations, have been understanding how to communicate with people, and I also love little ideas. So I'm not looking out for one grand idea that you cannot relate with. I'm looking out for something basic. However, no matter how basic the idea is, communication, the words and the thoughts must have depth. Right? So I can just choose to talk about anything, but when I'm writing that idea, it is intentional for me to use the right words. And I'm also conscious of, as I'm saying this thing, what would this person be thinking of while I'm saying it? Would they be able to see themselves in my story? And even if they don't, do they have other people that can relate with it? So I'm very conscious of words and thoughts. How I let words and thoughts be the ingredients of my life, so I'm very conscious about it. And also, I think, in these 4 months, I've had a lot of turning points. One of those turning points for me was when somebody from Germany reached out to say, your podcast is amazing. And then he gave me a few tips to actually make it better. And that moment, I realized that the ears that are listening to this work, they're not just in Lagos. So when that becomes characteristics of your journey, you put in more effort, like you put in more work. You just put in more work. If Obama calls you today to say your work is before 30 is a conversation I'd like to jump on.
More work, man.
More work. Like excellence just becomes becomes intentional. Your content becomes more intentional. How you start your work, how you project it. Then you now even begin to tell stories with your product and service. You begin to send images of what you want people to see. So I think that when you grow over time, it's just increasing how you are being intentional about your work. It's not about being motivated, it's being inspired. That's true, how I see it.
It's not about being motivated.
Motivations will come and go. It will come and go, that's how I see it.
Okay, so let's narrow it down to the Nigerian youth. You talked about intentionality. Do you think that the Nigerian youth is intentional? Of course, we know the situation of the nation. No jobs out there. Even the educational system is very poor. We know all this. Those are old stories. But do you think that we're being intentional with what we do, in the sense that you see a lot of young persons, I won't call them lazy, but some really don't just get to try things. They just believe that for those who, there are some people who fold their hands and stay and wait to be fed, while there are those who delve into things that cyber crimes and all the rest of things that we know that are not really what we should get into. But then, do you think that we're being intentional enough with what we do? This is narrowing it down to those who are maybe doing something to make ends meet, legit. Do you think we're being intentional enough?
Basically, when it comes to that, I think that at the end of the day, there's no restricting to any career. Like, it's the same thing in banking sector, it's just the same thing for young people. But if there's anything I've come to realize is, I would answer this question from the perspective of consistency. I will tell you that, consistency is really profound. Really, really profound. The first thing with young people, like myself in Nigeria, anywhere in the world, first off, we're still doubting if this is what we should be doing. I don't know if that has ever occurred to you before.
True.
Like, maybe one day you don't just get the funds you are expecting. Or maybe one day you just create something that is not entirely what you want to see.
Yeah.
Or maybe you just go off a conversation and someone just runs down on you. At that moment, you doubt the validity of your life's work.
Exactly.
So
True.
being in that space where you are not sure, it will reduce the capacity for you to be consistent. Meanwhile, if you had stayed in that space for say 5 years, for say 4 years, you would have gotten results. So it's first of all the fact that people are not sure. That's why they are finding purpose, right? And I tell people, if you have not found purpose, look for somebody who has, or look for somebody who you want to be like, and just follow their work, right? Because people think. Okay, so there's an ebook that I'm writing in this space. Oh, am I supposed to sing this here? I'll say
well,
it.
let's be the first to hear it.
yeah. Before 30 is having that, that amazing stuff. Yeah, purpose is a process.
Yeah.
That's the title of the book.
Amazing.
It's a process. There are seasons and there are times for it, right? So there's going to be a time when you're going to be very sure that this is what I should be doing now, and there's going to be the transition. There's going to be a growth from that work to something else, but you are still in the same circle of where God wants you to be, right? So I think that the first thing that makes people not be intentional about their life's work, they doubt if this is what they should be doing. And also so I've come to realize also that community is key. Who are those around you? Because if the people around you don't find what you do valuable, you will not be consistent. So waiting with this thing where you do, you just stand in front of camera, what are you doing? You are just pressing laptop, what are you doing? Do you get, when you have people close to you that doubt the validity of your work, I doubt if you'll be consistent at it. I doubt if you are going to be very intentional about it, because focus would help you to create more. Focus will help you to find out that this is what I want to do and these are the results that I want to expect when I do this, right? So being intentional is a product of you finding out that this is what you're going to do. And I tell people also, if you don't get any results, if nobody claps for you, if you don't get any dividend, how long are you willing to stay in this thing? That's how consistent you're going to be. And my boss, Mr. Bryce Ukenga, he said something. He said, any project you want to run on, at least set 5 years for it.
5 years.
And for the young person, 5 years might look like a lot of time.
A lot of time.
But the truth is that time flies. And in the space of 5 years, there's no way you've added value in people's life over time that it will not replicate in the ways that will blow your mind, right? So for me, it's understanding that how long are you ready to be in this game, with or without results? Are you willing to go in it for the long haul? Are you sure that this is what you're going to be doing? If you have answered all of those questions, when people say stuff that are not in your community that help you understand, it will be easier for you to just shut your ears from that and focus on what you're being called to do.
Yeah, true. Amazing. Okay, so this question, I've always had to ask everybody who comes to Before 30, in the previous season. There was a time our president made a comment about the Nigerian youth being lazy. I know he really didn't mean it. I believe he didn't mean it the way we took it. But bringing it down, do you think this is because you hear some of these old people say, you want to lazy this time, you're actually lazy, you wanted the easy way. In my opinion, I think it's not like that. I mean, we're hardworking, but what do you think?
So, when you have to understand also that when two people from two different generations are having a conversation, one of the things that is key is perspective. So most of our fathers grew up to be farmers, grew up to be palm wine tappers, and the peak of the profession for them at the time were doctors, engineers, lawyers. And that's why a lot of us were pressured to study that. That's their generation. And most of them were not even doctors. They only saw, that was the profession of the time that was at the peak. But this is 2021, a generation has passed.
So much.
Now we live in a generation where there's social media management. How can you explain that to your pops? That you are managing the account of 5 people or of 10 people? right?
Yeah, right.
That's one.
Yeah.
There is content creator. There's event management. So you mean that you will pay somebody money to manage your wedding for you? Do it by yourself. But they fail to understand that there's some people who are professionally going to study this aspect. So the professions are different, right? So when you first of all bring to the table that the professions are different, so your pops have to first of all understand what you do, right? So when our dear president said that, I think the most important question we should ask is, how many young people have you been exposed to? How many young people do you have access to? When last did you have a conversation with young people of more than 100 within your space as a president? When last did you actually go to the extra mile to see if the people you want to talk about are the things you are talking about? I think I was reading a book at the time when we were talking about politics, and it talked about the fact that one of the things that really established the British government during the time of Winston Churchill, right? So they said that one of the things that really made his tenure really make sense was the fact that they were always having national conversations. We don't find that in Nigeria.
There's nothing like that.
And there's one thing I've come to realize when you talk to older people. You see, we're having a conversation. If I say something that you don't agree with, you point me out to it.
Yes.
But when most older people want to have conversations with you, they first of all start with attack. It's two things. They want to attack what you are doing, and they want to make jest of what you are doing, that you're not doing the right thing. It's two different things. That's not a conversation. You already have a perspective that you have built in your mind. So that's what you want to tackle me with. But the conversation is state your point, I'll state mine. Who is wronger? It's not even about who is wrong and who is right. It's, would your legs be small enough to fit into my shoes to see how I'm seeing it, right? So back to your question, yeah. I don't think, it's also part of what are the type of people you expose yourself to. In my circle, and this is no pride, in my circle, you can't keep up as a lazy person. In my circle, you won't be able to keep up. Because, let's say WhatsApp, for example, there are some people who come on WhatsApp every day, and not to share shade anybody, but the only thing they put up on their WhatsApp status are just like, probably just things that will make you laugh, or like there's no valuable thing there. Do you get? So probably when you have walk for a while, and you want to just relax and laugh, you know that one person that has already posted like 20 memes that you can easily go to. Not that person is useless, but we're just saying that you get to a point where you have created a circle of people where they're extremely valuable. The day you even begin to drop in value, they will call you to order to be like, what are you doing? So it's part of exposure, it's part of intentionally building a circle, right? So I would say that I don't think I have really kept any lazy person in my circle. So that are there lazy Nigerian youths? Oh, there are. Even some of these guys that we call cyber crimes and all that, they put in the work. Some of them don't. Some of them throughout the night they don't sleep. It's a work, but then it's not a good work, right? So at the end of the day, you realize that I don't think that there are lazy Nigerian youths. The question is that an excuse for you not to be productive as a president? That's also a question. It looks like a shade. I'm very sure it's not a shade, but just we're still having a conversation. Right? So for me, I don't think that Nigerian youths are lazy, because I think that Nigeria itself will make you not to be able to be lazy.
Exactly.
Do you understand? Do you know how much is Malta Guinness now? Do you know how much is sardine? Right? Like, so there's an expectation for you not to fold your arms. Right? You might not really be working for the money, but someone is putting in that work. If that person is comfortable with giving you the money without asking you to go work on it, that's fine. But there are people working there are people working. That's my idea. So to say that a general populace of young people are lazy, I don't know.
Amazing.
So I don't agree with the fact that I say Nigerians.
I don't agree.
I don't agree. That's just it.
It's okay, guys. So we'll be back shortly before 30 takes a break.